How's it going, everybody? Long time no see. This is my first time making videos in a week or two. Reason being, I just started something new in my life, and it's kind of been requiring a lot of my time and attention. Some ideas from last year just kind of resurfaced back in my life, and I just kind of had my head sank into that here lately. You want to know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. I've been studying animation. Sure have. When I first started this channel, in the middle of preparing myself to be a Christian filmmaker. And long story short, just being able to get actors and permits and things like that just haven't been quite fitting in my life. But what I didn't see is the fact that cartoons would appeal to me a whole lot more. So there we go. Didn't even know, didn't even see, and that's what I'm most equipped to do in the first place. Like, it takes all the gear to produce an actual cinematic film that it would take to produce a cartoon minus a camera. You don't need a camera for that. All you need is the same computer you would edit footage with. You would need the same sound gear you're recording footage with. You would need the same sound gear you're recording YouTube videos with. All you need is an imagination, a bigger imagination, and some knowledge of how software works at that point. So that's kind of what I've been into. And one thing I will say about animation is that it is a lot. It is a lot of a lot. That means a lot of a lot. Like, dead serious. I was sitting on the couch last night. Just kind of looking through it all, and I'm like, this is crazy. Why didn't I stick with this idea when it first hit me? Because there's a reason why. Sometimes we think that our vision of what's meant for us is what's meant for us. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I would have stuck with the idea of producing realistic films, I probably would have never discovered the fact that I would like animation a whole lot more. And the problem is that every idea that I've ever written down for a movie would be better if it was animated. It'd be way better if it was animated. Just imagine, right? The supernatural acts of God. Imagine trying to produce that in real life. That'd be hard. But imagine doing that in software in the computer with a cartoon. It'd be so much easier to do. It'd be so much more creative. It'll probably be a lot more relatable too, simply because it just wouldn't, because it already looks fake, it wouldn't look fake. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like nobody watches cartoons and be like, this looks fake. Of course, it's a cartoon. You know what I mean? When I was in 3rd grade, I was at an awards ceremony, and my 3rd grade teacher gave me an award, and she had a note written on the bottom about who everybody is most likely to be when they grow up, and mine was a cartoonist. 3rd grade, I got that award. And when I start studying animation, that popped back up in my head. I'm like, I heard this before. My 3rd grade award ceremony. So that's what we've been on. I'm also been working a lot too and things like that. But that's not the topic of this video. But I did kind of want to touch base with you all on some things that are going on. Just in case you see a lot of things change for the different, but not for the better or worse, just for the different. But the topic of this video is about the grass being greener on the other side. That's a real common thing we hear, ain't it? The grass being greener. Like, what do you think about when people say stuff like, the grass isn't always greener on the other side? It usually got something to do with relationships, partnerships. Like, it usually got something to do with other people. You know, you being involved with another person. But sometimes you can have that perspective with the things you do in your life too. But like for me, right? I thought the grass was greener on the other side with recording my own actors producing films. Every time I thought about animation, I'm like, man, I much rather use a camera, man. Like, the grass is greener on that side. And I ain't really think about the fact that maybe the grass just ain't greener on that side. And there's a whole lot of other reasons why I was thinking that too. I want to tell you, excuse my hood, please, but like, there are so many mosquitoes out right now. This is mosquito season, and I just don't want to find myself swatting mosquitoes the whole way through this video, or smacking them off my head and just crazy stuff like that. So, but the grass isn't always greener on the other side. In fact, the grass might not be greener, period. Actually, that's not my point of saying this. My real point in saying this is that the grass might just be greener on the other side. That's not something a lot of people are willing to agree with. I totally agree with, in my life, the grass might be greener on the other side. I agree with that. I do. Why? See? Woo, I missed him. But I agree with things like that because the grass is usually greener where you water it, right? Like, you heard that before, haven't you? But that's not always true. The grass is not always greener where you water it. Sometimes you are not called to grow grass in the first place. Look, you see them yellow and green wildflowers growing back there? That's not grass. That's not grass. That's not grass at all. What if everybody only had grass? You would never see them beautiful yellow and green wildflowers growing back there that are actually blurred out from my camera. Not everybody's called to grow grass. You do know that, right? But everybody always have this idea of what their life is supposed to look like based on what they seen other people have or do. But they never really took the time to discover who they are because they are always paying too much attention to the world. They are always paying too much attention to what somebody else got. They're always watching too much Lifetime. They're always watching too many reality shows. They look at too many celebrities all day long. They watch too many movies. They own Netflix too much. They scrolling through Facebook and social media too much. And all they can think about is what everybody else's life look like. And they think that that's what's supposed to make them happy too. And what you really don't know is that all them people might not even be happy. Like, they might not even be happy. In fact, they might not even be being themselves. It's a sad reality, man, when everybody has this golden idea of what their life is supposed to look like based on what somebody else's life look like. I seen my mom grow up like this, so I'm supposed to be like that. I seen my dad do this, so I'm supposed to do that. All the millionaires I know do this for a living, so I'm supposed to do that if I want to be a millionaire. Don't you know you can be a millionaire selling cow poop? You could be a millionaire selling crickets. You'd be a millionaire with a locust farm. Hey, you could be a millionaire selling grass. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't gotta be a rap star. You don't have to be a movie star. You don't have to sit behind a desk and work 8 hours a day. You know, you don't have to do that in order to have what you want in life. All you gotta do is be willing to take who you are as far as you can possibly take that. You gotta first like who you are. And some of us have not ever met who we are. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to be a millionaire because I don't know. And why don't I know? Because I don't even think about being a millionaire. Like, I honestly don't care. It doesn't matter to me. That's another point I want to make too. I'm not going to give you 10 steps to success. I truthfully just don't think about it like that. That doesn't mean that I would prefer to live a low-class life. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is my mind frame has no idea of a destination to reach. Why? Because I lived like that before and I realized that's not what makes people happy. What makes people happy is when they have no idea of a destination to reach. All they know is what adventure they want to be on. And in the midst of that adventure, you're going to reach multiple destinations. You got to know that going into anything. We're not going to reach a destination. This is going to be something we do forever and ever and ever, and we'll never see the end of it. Never. You got to get real comfortable with not wanting to be comfortable. Ask anybody who's ever done anything, like who's ever started anything in life. They'll always tell you, you got to first be willing to not be comfortable. I've started a lot of things in life. And I've seen great success with a lot of things in life. I've started a lot of my own things in life. And I know that if you want to pursue something that in life that you started, you got to be willing to not want to be comfortable. Or else, well, just go and work the job that somebody else told you to work, and go and pay the bills that somebody else told you to pay, and go live in the only house you can afford. And I mean, like, there might be an element of that to it still, but like, you don't want that to be only what your life is all about. I mean, you can still do all that, like, but if that's only what your life is all about, you're missing something here. Heck, you can do all of that until you die, but that shouldn't be the only thing your life is all about. That is a miserable way to die. You'll reach your deathbed and say, I never accomplished any of my dreams. Well, have you ever had any? I've been tested a whole lot, especially here lately. And one of the things that I've discovered is that it is not easy being happy for nothing. It is not easy being happy with nothing. Not being happy because you have nothing. That's not what I'm saying. Somebody will take that the wrong way. Who in the world will be happy because they... No, it's not what I said. See, we live in a world where people can't hear what you say. They hear what they feel like about what you say. Hear what I said. You have to know how to be happy with nothing. Not because you have nothing. You can learn how to be happy with nothing and have everything. Okay, so what does what you're saying look like? My happiness does not come from what I have. My happiness does not come from who I'm married to. My happiness does not come from the job I work. My happiness does not come from the car I drive. My happiness does not come from the clothes I wear. My happiness does not come from anything other than what is inside of me. That is it. And sometimes the difference between God blessing you or not is that simple change in attitude. And blessings are not always financial. I know people that make a lot of money and still can't find no woman. I know people that make a lot of money and wish they could have kids. I know people that make a lot of money and can't wait to have a husband. I know people that make a lot of money and just want to be cured from cancer. Sometimes the difference between God blessing you or not is a change in attitude. Because the one thing that God is not going to do, right? If you can't learn to be happy with nothing, then God is less likely to give you what it is you do want in life, because then he'll be setting you up to be an idolater. If there are things you want in life more than how happy you are with the fact that you're a child of God and that's it, if all of that stuff matters more than that to you, then you are very likely to be an idol worshiper of the things you can have in life. I've had a lot of stuff in life, and I know that the stuff I have will never replace God, because I'm fully aware of who gave it to me. I'm fully aware that this won't last this way forever. I'm fully aware that this isn't permanent. I'm fully aware that this could very well disappoint me like everything else has. I expect nothing of a person. I have no idea of who I think somebody should be. None. No idea. I expect nothing of anybody. That doesn't mean I think less of people. It just means that I'm not exerting more effort in my mind about you than what you even exert about you. Don't ever accuse me of having an idea of who somebody should be. That's the last thing I ever can be. Why? I lived like that before. I did. You got to give the people in front of you a chance to be themselves. Because I want people to give me a chance to be myself. I think I'm cool. I do. I think I'm cool. I don't think I'm the coolest though. But I think I'm a nice person. Honestly, I do. And when people don't give me a chance to be myself to them, it's like, dang, man, you're missing out. Man, you got this vision of what I'm supposed to be looking like in your life that just don't exist. And it's causing you to miss out on what you don't even know exists. You don't even know. You're totally unaware. Like, that's like all these rich people, right? Who have this idea of what, believing in Jesus look like. They think believing in Jesus is for people who can't take care of themselves. They think believing in Jesus is for people who need hope in an afterlife because they don't like their current life. They think believing in Jesus is for people that want to be dependent upon hope in something because they're not happy with themselves, with themselves. Rich people think that Jesus is only for people who can't do for themselves. They do. And it causes them to miss out on the greatest thing that they could ever have. And that's a savior. That's a God, a father who's not even like you or your dad. The most awesome adventure you could ever have, they're missing out because they think that they don't need a God because they can take care of themselves already. Like they think that they're already well off. What do I need God for? I mean, it's not like I need money. Like, I don't need a hope in my life because I have what I want in my life. But that's not what Jesus is about, though. It's not about having hope in life to have something in life. But they think that. And they never give Jesus a chance to show them an aspect of life that they can never find with any amount of money, simply because of the idea of him that they do have. Like, they never sit back and just let him do his thing. I'm not going to tell him what he need to be. I'm not going to tell him who he is. I'm going to just let you do your thing. Just do your thing. And some people don't even give themselves that chance. You don't even give yourself the chance to just do your thing. Yep, because somebody told you what you need to be doing in life. Somebody told you who you ought to be. Somebody told you, well, what a real man is. And this was coming from people that never even had one. But somebody told you what a real woman is. And this is coming from people that never even had one. Don't be listening to people like that. Listen to God. The world would say listen to your heart. No, the heart is desperately wicked and deceitful above all things. Who can know it? Says the Bible. Listen to God, not your heart, because your heart is going to say, well, I'm not doing the right thing because I'm not making enough money. Stupid. Stupid. How stupid could you be? Well, if all you want is money, then I guess that makes sense. But at some point, the money you have is not going to buy you what you want. Money won't buy you a personality. Money won't buy you a husband who loves you. Money won't buy you a wife who honors and respects you. Money can't erase the wickedness inside of you that's causing every problem you have in life. But money can't buy you a mindset. And it sure in heck can't buy you faith in God. Sure in heck can't do that. It can't get you a seat in heaven. Sometimes you got to give yourself a chance to do your thing, man. Search yourself for who you are. Ask God, God, who am I? Like, what am I here to do? I was asking myself questions like that when I was like 6 or 7 years old. I've always been different than everybody I was in school with. That's why I never had friends, and to this day I still don't care about it. I don't care about meeting people. I don't care about, making friends or none of that, but I do like meeting people. I do like being around people, but it's not what gives me something to live for all the time. And people don't know how to be around people like that because they don't know how to be like that. And so the only thing they can assume about you is the worst. Well, he just must not like me at all. That's not true. It's just I don't need to like you in order to be happy. I'm happy sitting right here. Right here. This is happy to me. And with that being said, I can be happy doing anything as long as it's meant for me. You know what I'm saying? Because some things take me out of who I am. You got to know that. You got to know not to do things that take you out of who you are. And who you are is not based on material possessions. But, that whole material possessions point of view is the reason why so many people just don't trust God. Because a lot of people think that the standard of God in your life is based on what and who you have in your life. That's not true. Foxes have holes, birds have nests, the Son of Man didn't have a place to lay his head. If the standard of God in your life is based on what you have in your life, then maybe Jesus was Beelzebub, king of the Lord of the flies. And I know that ain't true. So stop thinking that the standard of God's love in your life is based on what you have, because it's not. If that's the case, the Father hated Jesus, and that's not true. How you a Christian and homeless? What? What? How you a Christian and ain't got no money? Excuse me? You know what I'm saying? How you a Christian and ain't got a pair of shoes? Foxes have holes, birds have nests. Even the very Son of Man had nowhere to lay his head. It'll probably make me more of one. You know what I'm saying? But, I mean, that's not always what God called us to. That's not always what God called us to. He might call you to that for a season. I'm sure Jesus didn't sleep in a tent every night. I'm sure he didn't. Y'all crazy. Y'all are, man, these mosquitoes crazy too. But y'all crazy. Y'all know that, right? Like, y'all think the standard of God's love is what you have. Well, I guess Bill Gates would be a super Christian. I guess Marilyn Manson would too. I guess Lil Uzi Vert with a diamond in his head is too. I guess George Soros is the ultimate child of God. I guess Barack Obama might be too. I guess Oprah Winfrey is also. I mean, like, y'all see what I'm saying? Oh, and let's just say, yeah, I guess when Hitler was alive, yeah, he was a super saint too, because he was rich too. You know that, right? I mean, he was a Nazi leader. He had everything. I mean, they had spaceships back then. Like actual UFO spaceships. You can't just buy one of them. That's real rich, if you ask me. With that perspective, you might as well just start looking at the whole story. Well, I guess God hates me because I have nothing, right? Y'all crazy. Y'all are crazy. No, a man of God is supposed to drive this, wear that, talk like this. Hey, you know what? I'm going to tell you what to do. You stay away from people like that, because people like that is going to put that junk in your head and cause you to be taken away from who you are. You can't let that witchcraft be worked on you. You just can't. That's the devil. That is of the devil. You cannot allow people with no vision for their lives, no flavor, no taste, no texture to themselves, no uniqueness at all, tell you what you gotta be. That's like every one of these blades of grass out here telling a sunflower, you're supposed to be shorter and green, just like us. That's like all of these oak trees out here telling that evergreen, hey, you're not supposed to grow those cones, dude. Like, you need to drop them. And you need to grow like us. I don't know where you got those cones from, but that's not what trees do. That's like a chipmunk telling a squirrel, you're supposed to be smaller than that. And your tail isn't supposed to be that bushy. It's like, I'm not you. I'm not you. Like, what do you mean? Like, that's crazy. You need to stay away from listening to people like that. If anybody in your life is ever avoiding you, like for any reason at all, like, you might want to start asking yourself, why? Is it something wrong with me or them? Like, you know what I mean? Like, for real, man. You really need to ask yourself that. Like, why? Because they probably heard this video. No, I mean, like, for real, man. Like, sometimes y'all just need to use your heads, bro. Every child of God is not going to be the exact same. Everybody's not going to have the same kind of life. Everybody isn't. There are people on their way to heaven living under a bridge. There are people on their way to hell in a mansion. Dead serious. There are people on their way to heaven a slave in Pakistan. There are people on their way to hell slaving others. There are people in a mansion on their way to heaven. There are people on their way to hell living under a bridge. Everybody's not going to be like what you think they are going to be like. And if you're not willing to give the people in front of you a chance, you can never learn from who they are. You can never harvest what they have to offer you. Because they might be trying to show you how to enhance your own mindset. So that way you can morph into more of you. Like, I eat from a lot of people's table, but I know what table not to eat from. I listen to all kinds of people, but I don't listen to everybody. I have more than one teacher. The Bible says there is wisdom in a multitude of counselors. If I only had one pastor, I'm probably not learning enough. I have more than one. I listen to more than one preacher. I have more than one teacher. I have more than one advisor. I have more than one partnership. I do. I have more than one source because I can't trust anybody to be the exact same every day. I can't trust other people to tell me what's right 100% of the time. Because if that was the case, then I should be able to trust myself to tell me what's right 100% of the time. If I can trust one person to tell me what's right 100% of the time, then I can also trust me to tell me what's right 100% of the time. What make me less of a person than they are? And I can't trust myself to tell me what's right 100% of the time. I can't do that. Like, that's what I have teachers for. That's what I have counselors for. That's what I have elders for. That's what I have bishops and stuff like that for. Like, that's what I have prophets for. And God has also called me to teach people. But I can't tell you 100% of everything. I just can't. Like, I do one thing really well. That's it. A hammer does one thing really well. Maybe another thing kind of well. It's meant to hammer nails and pull them. But it ain't better at pulling nails than a pry bar is. A pry bar does one thing really well. It pulls nails and pries things open. A microphone does one thing really well. Record sound. It could do one other thing kind of well. Look good in a music video. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I know so many people that buy microphones just to set them up in music videos and talk in them like they really talking in that mic. I just be like, y'all crazy. You know that mic don't sound like that, right? I used to have that mic before, and that mic is actually more garbage than like the sound that you actually have right now. But I mean, it's creative. It actually looked cool, you know, but. And you need to look at everybody else in your life like that. They do one thing really well. They sure do know how to have a good time, but they kind of stupid sometime. But like, whenever I want to have a good time, I know who to call. Heck, whenever I want to go have fun at the block party downtown, I know who to call. And I sure as heck won't be calling, you know, like somebody that think everything in this world is a sin. I sure in heck won't be calling them. I'm gonna go call the one person I know who knows how to kick it without us actually committing sin. But I ain't calling nobody religious who think wearing a pair of Nikes is of the devil. I ain't doing that. And sometimes you just need to look at other people in life like that. You are good to do one thing really well. And you can do some other things kind of well. And probably a lot better than others. But there's one thing you do excel at. Man, these mosquitoes out here crazy. They do one thing really well. Bite. They don't look good. They don't sound good. They don't nothing. They bite really well. And they do one other thing kind of well, fly around in my freaking face. You know, and they might do more than that. I just don't know. Why? Because I never gave them a chance. All I know is I don't want to be bitten. I'm not being bothered with you. I don't want to be bitten. So I'm not going to give you a chance to be anything more than something that bites me, that I don't want to be around with. But maybe if I took the time to educate myself on the life of a mosquito, I might probably become fascinated with them. Squirrels used to annoy the crap out of me. It wasn't until I got more deeply involved in my nature photography and all I could find were squirrels. I'm like, this is all I can shoot. Like, I see one deer every other day, but I see like 25 squirrels a minute. And it's all I can shoot. It forced me to really get to know squirrels. Forced me to. And I became fascinated with them. I actually think like one sometime, you know? I actually think like one. Think about that person you got in your life who just won't go away. And for whatever reason, you just aren't giving them a chance to be who they are to you. And you always got this idea of what they ought to be like in order to be good for you. And they haven't actually literally advised you to do anything that you know is wrong or harmful. But because they don't look like this or drive that or make this, that's not what you're supposed to be. Every man I know worked at a factory. You plant flowers, you're not a man. And that'd be the one guy in this world who will give you all the good advice you could ever have, who could prevent you from being stupid, who sat there and worked with you on all the curse words you kept spitting out. Not one other guy you ever been with has sat there and said, hey, let's get your mouth under control. You can't go to heaven like that. Everybody else would sit there and spit out cuss words with you. Y'all both would be happy on your way to hell. That'd be the only person in this world who would show you how to be a strong, independent person. Instead, you think he's bad for you because he's showing you how not to depend on himself in order to be happy. And he's sitting there saying to himself, like, I know that's a bad habit to have. Because, like, I call myself your man. I can't let you act like that. It might sound like something you never heard before, but I promise you, I'm not stupid. I know what I'm talking about. I've read more books than you. You know, like, I certainly know more scripture than you. I'm probably not the one that's crazy. All right? Just listen to what I'm saying. Don't get offended at my knowledge. Just learn from it. I'm willing to give you that. I'm willing to take all sorts of abuse simply because I want to see you learn from me. And in the process, he getting all weird random text messages about how kind of like what he ain't and what he don't do, and just sitting there like, why am I doing this to myself, bro? Why am I doing this to myself? And you know what? Like, you want to know who else goes through that? Jesus goes through that. God, you don't love me because I got fired. And you know how much I need to take care of my kids. God, you don't love me because you let my car break down the day before a job interview. God, you don't love me because I got evicted for nothing. God, you don't love me because my paycheck was a week late. And it's like, wait a minute. Wait. Me not loving you is not why I let all those things happen in your life. That's not why I let all of that happen in your life. And here I am, still sitting there. I'll still work with you. I'll still work with you because I know that you're the one who needs to know what I can teach you. I don't need to know what I can teach you. I know it already. It's not me who needs to get into heaven, and I certainly don't need you here with me, but I want you to make it here because I know how terrible of a place hell is. I don't want you to go there. It is God's will that none shall perish. That's his will. Like, that's what he wants. And he's sitting up there, he's putting up with all the drama in your heart, all the chaos in your heart, all the things you secretly say to yourself about him that ain't true. And he's just like, what an ignorant young man. What an ignorant young man. That's exactly why I'm here. Man, what a fool. Like, you better be glad you saved. You better be glad you saved. You better be glad God gives a darn. You better be glad. Because I can only imagine you living a life of hell still that way too. You know how much hell you're gonna spread across this planet thinking like that? It's crazy, bro. Like, the grass just might be greener on the other side, for real. The grass might be greener on the other side. Because what if grass is not for you? What if you get sick of cutting grass? What if you never end up with a lawnmower? What if you are much better off with a garden? Like, what if you're much better off with, you know, crops growing in all that land you have? But no, you'd rather have the grass greener because that's what so-and-so has. That's what so-and-so told me is the best thing in the world. But, like, how do you really know that, though? Well, that's how my mom and dad grew up. They had green grass, so I ought to live like that, too. In order for me to feel like I'm doing something in life. Like, you know how many people in the suburbs, like, who went to college for years and got all these awesome educations who feel like less of a person if their lawn doesn't look like somebody else's lawn? Over a lawn, dude. A lawn. All these educated fools out here sitting around worried about what their lawn look like. Your lawn. And here you is on your way to hell. Like, man, y'all tripping. Like, you worry more about your lawn than your soul. That's crazy. My lawn, get off my lawn. Like, I just watered that grass. All right, I'm sorry. It took me 2 years to grow grass right there. All right, I quit, man, I quit. But if I had the ability to modify my own landscape where I live, I wouldn't want a lawn. I would want flowers, trees, things that would attract wildlife, a pond, rocks and things for frogs and snakes to hide in, and like I would want to attract wildlife, and I would have very little grass. Like, you do know that, right? I would have more of everything else green than grass. But no, the grass. My grass. Like, man, y'all crazy, dude. Let the grass be greener on the other side. That's that person's life. That's that world. Like, what about the one you're called to? Have you ever taken the time to ask God to show you who you really are? You probably don't want to know, do you? I thought I did until I found out. I'm like, oh, dang. Man. I've been sitting here trying to be, nah, I can't let that be true, because that would mean my whole life has been a lie, and I don't want it to be. See, that's everybody's problem. They ain't willing to be wrong, especially about themselves. They're not willing to be wrong. Be willing to be wrong about yourself. Be very willing to do that. Become who you are as far as you can possibly take that. You know why? Because that is going to be the only life you will ever be happy with. We all want to be happy, but we don't want to be who we really are. You want to know who the most attractive people are in this world? People who are not afraid to be who they really are. I'm not afraid of being talked about by people, at least I'm myself. I like you. You, come here, give me a freaking hug. Sucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, like, you just, bro, like, people like that is fun to be around. I don't care who look at me funny. At least I'm not like everybody else. See? Yeah. That's my dog. That's my dog. If I could be anybody when I want to, if I could be anybody when I grow up, I want to be my dog. Just like my dog. Everybody want to be somebody who's not afraid to be themselves. Everybody wish they could be more like that. But people who scared to be like that, they don't know how to be around you. They don't know how to accept you. They don't know how to handle you, because you are judging them and you ain't even saying a word. That's why they always got a problem with you. And you ain't done nothing wrong to them. I mean, let them tell it you did, but I mean, like, you actually sit there and write down what happened. Would you be able to say that's wrong? Or did it just make you feel wrong? Like, if we literally sat here and weighed this on a scale of right or wrong, it'll probably sit somewhere in the middle, totally neutral. Well, it just made me feel like, see, it made you feel like, but it wasn't wrong. It just made you feel like. That's it. Know the difference between what somebody did to you that was wrong and what somebody did to you that made you feel like it was wrong. All because it made you feel like maybe you have a perverted outlook on life. Like, you ever thought about that? That maybe your idea of right and wrong is wrong. You ever thought about that? That maybe what you think love is not true. You ever thought about that? God is love, and God did exactly that in the Bible before. And you got the nerve to say he did that out of hate, or he did something wrong? That's exactly what Jesus did? And you're a Christian? You're tripping. You're fantasy stricken. You live in a make-believe world. Heck, I might as well make you into a cartoon character. I'm studying animation. You'd be perfect. You'd be perfect. I gotta somehow steal your voice, though. And get a nice, like, headshot, so that way I can kind of, like, morph your face into the program. But, yeah, we'll figure that out one day. We'll figure that out one day. What if grass isn't meant for you? What if grass won't make you happy? What if? But you see everybody else happy with their grass. That's because grass is all they know, because they thought that grass is what they were supposed to have too. And then after they got used to seeing it for a while, they're not happy with it no more. It'll just be something that they get excited about for a minute that just blows over. Do you want to live like that? Do you want to end up like everybody else? You want to end up like every celebrity who got everything they want and hate their life? How many times you got to hear somebody say that before you just think, okay, maybe That's not what I need in order to be happy, because every one of these people who have it, they always eventually die from a drug overdose. They always eventually commit suicide. I mean, they always eventually look like rundown trash after so many years. Yeah, but they still got a Rolls Royce. So I need one too. Well, if it was about a Rolls Royce, then what's their problem? Well, maybe they just need a new one. Like, man, bro, you can't just jump to a new Rolls Royce every time you're no longer happy with that. You know how much they cost? Like, you can't just jump to a new man when you're no longer happy with that one. You know how many... And that don't mean you ain't allowed to have one, though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're totally allowed to do what you want, but if that's what you're doing to be happy, you're doing it wrong. You can have 2 different boyfriends a year, and not one of them are who you had because you thought they made you happy. It's just, hey, you thought they were for you. Yeah, and like, you find out they ain't no hard feelings, no big deal. Adios. Like, you know what I'm saying? Hey, no big deal. It ain't what I'm doing to be happy, though. Like, I'm already happy. Hey, why do you think they liked me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, think about that. Like, oh, yeah. Like, you know, I never met a guy who's just so happy with himself. Who are you, young man? Like, you know how many people say stuff like that to me? Who are you? I can see the hand of God on your life. I just be like, how do you know? How do you really know that? I don't know. It's just something about you that just seems different. What is it? Maybe you're right. Maybe the hand of God is on my life. That's why so many people can have so many things they don't like about you, but yet they just can't leave you alone. But yet they just can't quit talking to you. And it ain't just because of you. It is the presence of God, for real. It really is. It ain't got nothing to do with you. At a point in time before you were saved, nobody thought about you like that. So it couldn't be you. But all they think is that. And you know deep inside, like, man, like, don't try and gas me up, bro. I'm not one to be flattered. I get offended at people trying to flatter me because I think you think I'm just a sucker. I'm not a sucker for somebody's attention. I'm perfectly fine with or without it. But see, that's kind of where God wants his children to be. Perfectly fine whether somebody liked them or not. Perfectly fine whether somebody talked to them or not. Perfectly fine whether somebody invited them or not. And you want to know what? I don't get mad at that. Why? Because there's always something I can do. Like this. Nobody invited me here. I came out here on my own because this makes me happy. Why? Because this is part of who I am, a teacher. Somebody who's going to just sit you down and keep it real. This is part of who I am. It ain't the YouTube part. It ain't the camera and microphone part. It's the fact that I can express my nature to you. Some people aren't good at teaching anybody anything. And you know what? This ain't even a Bible study. I mean, this ain't no sermon. Like, this ain't me preaching at somebody. I'm just keeping it real from a Christian perspective. That's it. That's all I do. I don't preach sermons to people. I don't preach to nobody. I keep it real from a Christian perspective. That's it. I tell you what to expect. Because you know what? We don't got enough people doing that. It's all about keep this rule, keep that rule, keep this rule, and keep that rule. Don't wear this. Don't look like that. Like, man, bro, like, you people, like, man, I'm putting my Nikes on. I don't care if they're named after a false god. I don't worship false gods, so screw it. Better yet, I'm stepping on a false god. Shouldn't that be better? I got my feet in a false god, stomping them in the ground. That's how I look at it, if you want to call it that. I know religious people right now who would say Christians should not wear Nikes because the word Nike is named after a false god. Man, shut up. Shut up. And put some freaking shoes on and go to work, whether they Nikes or Timberlands, bro. Like, don't nobody give a darn. No, you can't drive a Nissan because Nissan has a demonic meaning to it. Dude, you better drive that Nissan. If your job was 4 miles away and all you had access to was a Nissan, I bet your logic about that would change in a heartbeat, wouldn't it? Be like, well, maybe it ain't that wrong. You know? Man, it's crazy out here, ain't it? Like, that's why God don't want us putting our sense of righteousness in stuff like that, because like one of these days you might need to use that. And if you already called that a sin, man, now you got to go and sin according to your knowledge. Like, that's why I don't call nothing sin unless the Bible says it's a sin. I don't make up any sin just because church people have told me this the last 20 years. If the Bible does not call it a sin, I won't either. But because I bet you if Jesus was walking around today, he would probably have a pair of Nikes on. And he wouldn't care anything about what he's wearing. He would just be getting around doing what he got to do to be about the Father's business, giving no care for what brand of shoes he got on. Giving no thought about it at all. But y'all, I can't wear that unless it's Vans. Man, okay. All right. Fine. And what if they go out of business? Now you got to spend the next 30 years of your life being barefoot? Or you want to look stupid in front of everybody and come to work in a pair of Nikes after saying that? It's up to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, just be yourself, man. That's it. Like, don't let anything in life make or break who you are. Let's just say the grass is greener on the other. Let's say that is true. So what? So what? Grow tomatoes. 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 Grow potatoes. Grow corn. Plant trees. In fact, put some concrete there and have a full basketball court. You know what I'm saying? Just think about this, y'all. Really sit back and think about it. But please, help me grow this channel. Like this video, subscribe, share this to somebody who need to hear it, share this to people that don't even think they need to hear it. Share it for no reason. But I thank you all for watching. In Jesus' name, amen. You have a good rest of your day.